On the last episode, I ended the vlog talking about how my project for my Mazda MX-6 is going to begin. And to start things off, I bought a set of new wheels for it. Let's go ahead and clean it up first, and then we'll get into the details. For this car, I'm doing a square setup, so it's a 17x8, and the offset is plus 40. These are actually OEM wheels, and when I first saw the ad for this car, I was kind of trying to figure out what car it came out of. If you notice in the middle, you can tell that there is a center cap that actually supposed to go there. And so when I went to check out the wheels, I asked the seller if he has the center caps. And because he sells wheels and has a lot, he didn't know which one. So we had to look through his garage and find a matching center cap. We eventually found a center cap that closely matches this particular wheel. And when I looked up where it came from, I found out this actually came from a 4th generation Mustang GT. And so when I put on the center cap, you can tell already the look of the rim completely changes. Instead of using the original center cap, I kind of want to go a different route. I'm planning on using a smaller center cap to fill the middle, and here's an example of how it looked like. It won't be the BMW logo. I would actually change that to maybe a Mazda logo to match the emblems on my car. One of the things that really excites me about this project is back in the day when I was into JDM cars and fixing them up, I saved quite a few of those parts. And so behind me, I'm going to show you what I have, and these are things that can actually fit on my Mazda. So I'm excited to be able to use them instead of just having them sit in my garage and not being used. Now, you might have seen the steering wheel on my Porsche a few months ago. I was just talking about how I use this on my other cars. This still has the quick release, so I'm planning on using this on my MX-6. To complement that, I also have a Momo shift knob here, and the stitching and the pattern of this shift knob is very similar to this, so it's a good match. And this design is very ergonomical, so it's very comfortable, and I say this because I used this on my other cars before. Another item that's going to be very useful, especially because I got new wheels, are the lug nuts. So these are the Acorn style lug nuts that I had for my, I believe it was probably for my RX-7. And the metrics for the threads is exactly the same as the Mazda MX-6. So I was lucky enough to find these in my garage, and I could be able to use this for my new set of wheels. And then I also have a shorty antenna that will fit the MX-6. I actually had this on my 350Z back in the day. I think last time I used this was more for my 350Z. And this is if you want to run a front plate. This allows you to angle the front plate in different angles. That way, you know, if you wanted it to kind of tilt, you could use this. Next are my spacers. So these are 5x114.3, which is the same specs as my MX-6. And so I believe the one on the top is 25 millimeter, and the ones in the middle are 7 millimeters. So if I need to use these with my new wheels, at least I have them already. The next items is these 3 parts right here. I have these engine dampeners, and then here's the bracket for it. I bought this actually for my RX-7 FD when I had it, but I never used it. So if I decide to stabilize my motor, I'll be using these dampeners. I have a old navigation system. I actually use this on my 350Z. This was placed in the compartment that was for wallets, your phones, and things like that, where it flipped up. And so I had this installed before, and this was more than 10 years ago. So I'm not sure if it still works, but I found this in my garage. So I might find a place for this in my MX-6. And last but not least is the SART electrical sweeper. This is basically a hyper voltage system, so it's designed to stabilize all the power circulating in the car. and I was glad that I found this in one of the drawers, and this is something I could also use. So let's go ahead and take out my MX-6. We'll talk about why I bought this car and what I have planned coming for it. I still have my 911 sitting here. I haven't really had it on the channel lately, but on the next episode we'll talk about some updates on that. And then my M5 is still clean from the last video shoot, and so I'll be taking this out a little bit later on, and we'll go ahead and get into the MX-6, go for a little drive, and talk a little bit more about it. So the reason why I got a Mazda MX-6 was back in the day when I was in college. I believe it was my freshman year. I was looking for a new reliable car, and I wanted something sporty, but the closest thing I can get to an MX-6 was a Ford Probe, which is basically the same chassis. Several years ago, I had an E92 as my daily driver, and I got rid of it because I started working from home remotely. And so I decided to pick up another toy, and the Mazda MX-6 kind of came to mind. So I found one locally here and decided to purchase it. I'm not going to really do too much to this car. I'm kind of doing it more for fun. I started off with the wheels. I'm going to lower it, probably get some bacon lowering springs, and then search for a front lip. And then after I do that, I'm going to do a couple of maintenance things on this car, have it tinted, maybe add the window banner like my M5 and 911 so that they all match. And then last but not least, I'm definitely wanting to paint this car because the color is still at its original color, and there's a lot of clear coat damage. So I'm definitely going to work on the paint on this car. One of the things that I really appreciate about this car is its classic body styling. There's some areas like the front that kind of remind me of the Nissan 240, the S14 Zenki. They have similar headlights. And then as you look to the side, there's also some features of an S13 240. As far as the rear, it has a combination of both the MX-5 or the Miata, and also the big brother, which is the RX-7. Everything inside is original outside of the head unit. It's 5-speed, AC works, the full power package, and the rear seats are very helpful, especially when I'm driving around with my kids. One of the things that I really like also is the trunk space on this car. I use it to get groceries, get car parts, and it's very convenient. Let's take a look at the engine. This is the 4-cylinder 16-valve motor. It's very good on gas, and one of the reasons why I bought this car. The engine's dirty right now, and I plan on cleaning it up and detailing it. Here's my new battery that I installed a couple weeks ago. It's been running great since. Overall, I'm planning on keeping the car stock so I don't have any issues with smogging my car. Alright, so that's going to pretty much wrap up this video. I'll continue to update you on some progress that I'm making on this car, and then also some of the updates on both my 911 and M5. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. We're here in Loma Linda to celebrate Filipino American Heritage Month, and behind me there's a bunch of vendors with a lot of food, and I just picked up some barbecue and ordered a few other foods, so we're gonna sit down and enjoy some of the food here.